Hello, Child here. He calls me his child. Dusty Rose. Happy New Year. Closing in on the end of Ethnic America, probably about, looks like there's only 2 chapters left. Long chapters, but only 2 chapters. Still in the first third of Body Keeps the Score, but it is time to talk about the next book. I do have a question about the next book. I would really like to read a book by Bjorn Lomborg. So I've read 2 of his books. One of them is called Cool It, and one of them is called False Alarm. They both are about fairly similar things. They are basically, to me, they are one of those books I like to call bridge building books, where it's like, hey, here is, instead of screaming at the other side, here is a rational discussion of where this side might have some things right but has some things wrong, and this side has some things right and this side has some things wrong, and maybe we can get a conversation going. And I really love that. I love finding books like that. So both books are about the global warming conversation, or shall we say the climate change conversation. Cool It has the less provocative title, but it's the older book, which means it has less up-to-date information. False Alarm clearly has the more provocative title. It is still a bridge-building book, but the title is more provocative and feels like a little more of a jab. But it's the one with the more up-to-date information. Given that, what do you guys think? Should I do Cool It or should I do False Alarm? Between me reading both those books to myself, I actually got a lot of really good information. So either book is really useful. What do you think? I'm open to being completely swayed here, and I'll leave comments open. Speaking of comments, it's pretty much unanimous that nobody cares whether I use an e-reader or hide it with a book. So in that case, basically they say just go ahead and use the e-reader. So I will. In any future books that I do not already own, I will be reading it off my e-reader. I will probably be in Japan by either mid or late this year. That's about when it'll start to shift, probably. And I'll have to experiment wherever we are to find a place to read that is not intrusive. I don't actually, I'm in a place where there's a lot of space around me. There's a lot of room around me, like rooms and space. I'm not bothering any of my housemates. I'm not bothering any of my neighbors. My living situation is going to change drastically. So I'll have to assess where can I read, where I'm not going to be a bother to people around me, because I really would like to be respectful to the culture in which I'm entering. A couple small snippets here. Currently, The Ramara Phenomenon, which is the novel I've been working on, sits at about 69,000 words on Royal Road. I'm very excited. I mean, that's basically a sneeze away from the lowest word count for a fantasy novel, which is about 75,000 words. So I basically have a skinny fantasy novel, and I'm really excited about that. I am gonna have to pull back a little bit because I got so excited focusing on writing that I fell behind on learning my Japanese. Even so, with self-study, I'm doing pretty well, at least in terms of learning to read. Speaking it is more difficult for me. Not because of pronunciation. Pronunciation is actually not that hard for me, but putting together a sentence on the fly out loud is kind of difficult for me. Frankly, in English, I am also a smoother writer than I am an extemporaneous speaker, if you know what I mean. You may or may not have noticed that. So obviously, in another language, it is even more halting for me to try to piece together a grammatically correct sentence on the fly. However, これは本いいですよ. This book, it's good. Please excuse my minor showing off. So last thing to let you know is I have started another YouTube channel, a branching off from this one. I may have mentioned that I run a blog, and as I was reading a blog to my husband about October-ish, he said, how come you're not reading that on your YouTube channel? And I was a little taken aback, and I'm like, well, because my YouTube channel is for reading other people's books. If I suddenly started inserting my blogs, that's going to be a little weird. He's like, well, why don't you just make a separate channel for it? And I'm like, because I'm busy. That lasted all of half a day. I mean, I was still busy, but it's like, it takes me, 5 minutes, 10 minutes to read one of my blogs, and suddenly I found myself popping out readings of my blogs. So if you check the links below, if you have any interest, I started reading my own blogs on a separate YouTube channel. Still wearing hats. I don't know if I'll be able to keep the hat thing either, because going to Japan, I'm going to be leaving my entire stash of yarn behind, as well as all the hats I've made, so we'll see if that sticks around. I hope it does. Maybe I'll just make a bunch of new hats over there. In any case, new year, lots of changes. No New Year's resolution to clean more often, as you can tell, but still trying to read every now and then. We will definitely get through Ethnic America probably in the next month. Please let me know if you think it's a better idea for me to read Cool It, the older one with the less provocative title, or False Alarm with the more provocative title but more up to date. Much appreciated. Happy New Year. Good luck and have a gentle start, everybody.